In one of the most infamous crimes to ever come out of Hong Kong, a woman is held captive, severely mistreated, and eventually murdered. However, what made this
You're
case
right.
so infamous is how they treated her after the fact. Got a packed schedule this fall and don't have much time to figure out what to cook?
Gusty just subscribed
Instant
with
ad?
Prime.
Instant ad? Preach! Thank you. Hold on, who was that? Gusty, preach, Gusty. Thank you for the Prime sub. Preach, preach. You not BBG no more. You not BBG no more like Ant the Man. Alright, y'all.
How about trying some more interesting press? Not only that, but you end up with 11 boxes and a case that you've heard about.
I'm low-key glad that he started a vid off with the ad so that you could just click it and just be good with the video. He tapped in, I'll fuck with him for that.
Before. It's very infamous. But this is by far and beyond the case I've been most requested to cover. Since it's requested so often, I decided to dig deep into it as deep as I could and give it the whole in full detail treatment. I think that I'll be able to paint a picture as to how truly horrible it really is, and buckle up because it's disturbing. This is the story of a woman out in Hong Kong named Fan Man Yi. Fan did not have the best life, to say the least. She was abandoned in her childhood, forcing her to grow up in an orphanage. However, this would only be until she reached the age of 15, as that orphanage had an age limit in place. Given that she was never adopted and had no place to live, she soon became homeless.
What the fuck? They kick you out at 15? Soulless. What's wrong with them?
Soon after that, she became addicted to drugs. Fan ended up having to resort to prostitution, working at a brothel to get by and even feed herself. When Fan Man Yi was in her early 20s, she was able to get a job as a dancer at the Empress Karaoke nightclub. She eventually fell for one of her clients, who was unfortunately another drug addict who only ended up enabling her. Despite this, they got married in 1996. Her husband, however, soon began mistreating her. Still though, she stayed with the man, and they actually had 2 sons together over the next couple of years. Their fighting only worsened though. The neighbors would often wake up to not only the
Yo, I cannot take his haircut seriously, bro. Hold on, when was this posted? 3 years ago. I guess. Damn, this cut in 2022 is fucking crazy still, though. Holy hell.
Sounds of the children screaming, but the sounds of the couple themselves screaming as well as they argued all throughout the night. By early 1997, Fan had already started working as a prostitute again out at a brothel called the...
When the fuck did I ever have a lesbian era or get this fucking cut? What makes you say this stupid ass shit?
Romance Villa in Kowloon. After working there for a while, she ended up meeting a 34-year-old man named Chan Man Lok. Chan was said to have been a wealthy socialite, well known throughout the area. Fan was immediately drawn to him as she was a prostitute who was addicted to drugs, and he was a drug dealer that also worked as a pimp. He would often pay her for long, all-night sessions where they would binge crystal meth, or ice, which he supplied.
Nah, yeah, we remember Fred.
It wasn't too long before Fan was integrated into Chan's inner circle. She was there along with several of his little underlings, his henchmen, if you want to call them that. Chan Man Lok was a member of the Triads, a large Chinese organized crime syndicate. He wasn't someone to be messed with. Hell, he wasn't even someone you should associate with for your own safety. However, Fan got too comfortable around him regardless. One night, during one of their binges, she stole his wallet, gaining the equivalent of about...
What the fuck was going through her mind? He dead as the fucking Hong Kong demon. Talking about steal his wallet? Are we fucking dead ass? Like what? How you gonna steal from the Hong Kong demon?
$4,000 US. That would prove to be the biggest mistake of her life. Chan found out about this and was furious. She agreed to pay him back with $4,000 that she was to earn from her work. He wasn't happy with this, though, and demanded $10,000 of interest. Fan stated that she would need a good amount of time to pay that interest off fully.
We should follow
Chan
Blossom.
Munlok was furious about his stolen money. It wasn't even about the money, it was the fact that Fan even
Nah, don't say it, bro. Alright? Don't say it, alright?
had the audacity
I
to steal
already
from him
know
in
what
the
the fuck
first
y'all gonna
place.
say, bro.
In March of
Don't say it, bro.
1999, he got two
Alright,
of his
you
men to
killing it.
kidnap Fan and take her back to his apartment on
What
Granville
the
Road.
fuck, Jason Wynn? I guess Jason Wynn in this shit too?
It was a massive
So we need to
apartment
be-
consisting of
What?
5 bedrooms
I
and was
guess.
all decked out
I
in
never
Hello
said that,
Kitty
bro.
merch for some reason. Hello Kitty was on the curtains, on the bed sheets, adorning the walls, and there were even plushies all over the place. Chan planned to pimp Fan out and force her to work non-stop until her debt to him was fully paid off. But he was never satisfied with any amount of money she would earn. He kept increasing the interest on her debt more and more until it became impossible for her to ever pay him back. There simply wasn't any way that she could keep up with the constantly spiking
Damn, bro, the fucking dual interest method on her too? She not even making a lot of money for her to be doing this shit though. Like, what the fuck is wrong with him?
increase to the debt. So in addition to making her work even more, the gang started taking their frustrations out on her as well. They began to hit her and strike her repeatedly very often. She would often be so
Wow.
bruised and battered that she couldn't even work. Despite this, the group would continue to get high and subject her to even more beatings. They enjoyed themselves far too much while doing so, often laughing at her pain. This
What
was when
the
things
fuck?
got really out of hand, and you may be thinking it's already out of hand, and you would absolutely be right, but it's about to get much, much worse. The group that tortured Fan consisted of Chan Man Lok, the leader, Leung Wai Lung, a subordinate gangster,
Yo, they need to stop showing this nigga, bro. Dead ass. Bro, he looks like a fucking flopper.
who has said they have been
You
either
killing my
19 or
fun, bro. I can't even
21,
take this shit
and Leung
seriously.
Xing Cho,
And Wu.
age 26, another
This
one
is
of
not
his
me.
underlings. But there was soon one new member to that group, a
You see that white
14-year-old minor named Ah
Is he real?
Fong.
Yes,
She,
he real.
although she had been reported to be one of the girlfriends of one of his underlings, ended up being a victim of Chan himself as he groomed her more and more over time. This girl, though, despite being very young and obviously manipulated, was ice cold herself. She very much enjoyed helping the group to mistreat Fan. She would even giggle and laugh hysterically while
Right.
doing so. She took the opportunity to get creative and would even come up with her own ways to brutalize the woman herself. She was always ready and willing to join in. The group, unsatisfied at the amount of money Fan was bringing in, continued to mistreat her more and more. They tied her up, punched her, and kicked her all over. They would force
What the
themselves on her
fuck?
repeatedly, as much as they wanted. They even forced her to eat excrement. They started hitting her with metal
No, 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 no. What the fuck?
bars, hit her
Oh,
and stabbed
these
her
are some
with kitchen
fucking
utensils,
evil-ass
smashed
bitches.
pieces of furniture over her, and even tied her up in a standing position to use her as a punching bag. It got to the point that, one day alone, she ended up getting kicked in the head about 50 times. It has been said that Fan even got pregnant around this time, but the mistreatment continued regardless. When she was wounded, barely able to even move, the group would rub spices into her open wounds. To further ensure that she wouldn't be running away or moving much at all, they would burn her legs with hot candle wax repeatedly and even melt plastic over her legs. She was then forced to consume even more
She
urine
caught a
and
beating like you
excrement.
back in high school.
The group would then
Crying
force
face
her to
emoji. Crying face emoji.
You gonna hear this fucking demonic ass torture and say that she got a beating like me back in high school? What makes you dead ass say this shit? You gonna burn in hell, in the depths of hell for the rest of your life, man. Dead ass. L goons. What?
smile and say
Why
that
are
she
y'all even
enjoyed
going
all
into
of these
this?
things. If she refused, they would just mistreat her even worse, getting even harsher with their punishments. All throughout this time, Fan's husband and kids wondered where she even went. They were left with nothing to do but worry about her and hope that she would come home. The group started getting more and more creative, utilizing anything they could find throughout the apartment that could possibly inflict pain, that could be used as a weapon. They would set plastic straws on fire and press them against the bottom of her feet until they were covered in painful burns and blisters. They would then hit her in the feet with sticks and whatever else they could find. All throughout this, they would throw chili oil onto her wounds and dump
Never
oyster
mind
sauce
W?
onto her face. They then made her drink the combination of oils afterwards. It was a game they played. If she didn't pretend to be happy, then they would beat her harder. They told her to smile while they burned her. It was a fun atmosphere, said Ah Fong. It got to the point where they started using Fan as a toilet, directly urinating onto her face and sometimes even into her mouth. If she spat any of it out, she was severely punished. Ah Fong once even defecated into a shoebox and forced Fan to eat it, which she thought was hilarious. The group started wrapping her in electrical wires and hanging her from a hook on the ceiling. They would then mistreat her in any way that they wanted, usually hitting her with iron bars, and leave her there overnight. Eventually, they stopped feeding her entirely. The bodily fluids they would subject her to became her only form of sustenance. They continued to pack her wounds with dirt, spices, salt, and really anything else they could find to make sure that she never felt any sort of relief. Needless to say, after seeing the shape she was in, potential clients started refusing her services, meaning that she was no longer pulling in any money for the group. Fan would lie on the floor, starving, drifting in and out of consciousness, while the group hung out and watched TV or played video games. She was broken, and playing with her wasn't so much fun after that, but we carried on anyway. There wasn't really anything else to do, said Ah Fong. Ah Fong would gladly participate in any of the horrible things the group did to Fan, enjoying it all the way, admittedly laughing at everything that happened to her. It was for fun, she later said. The full details of what Ah Fong did herself have never been revealed, but it's undoubtedly
the Hello Kitty murder in complete
a
detail.
very long list, even by
Just
her own
say no.
admission.
Yo, Bird,
One night, the
Bird,
group decided
what's
to go
wrong
out
with
for
you?
some drinks. To make sure that Fan couldn't escape, they did what they usually
They could have played
did.
2K instead.
They
They could have done anything other than this fucking malicious ass shit. And they keep going up. How the fuck is she still alive through all this shit though? Fuck, bro. It's a fucking miracle she made it through all of
tied
it.
her up and threw her onto the bathroom floor, locking the door behind them. This sort of mistreatment could only go on for so long. After about a month of this, on April 15th of 1999, Fan finally succumbed to her wounds and passed away, cold, alone, and in pain while her captors were out of the house. After a few days, the group came back to the apartment.
Thank God they didn't run into me. I would have never let this happen. Nah, that ass. They ran into me. It would have been over.
Ah
for them.
Fong stated that she had to use the restroom.
Are you in the Navy?
When she went into the restroom, she found Fan
Yeah.
deceased on the
I'm
floor.
not.
The men began to discuss amongst themselves. They needed a way to get rid of the body, but they couldn't decide on which method would be best. They even argued about what likely caused her death, obliviously, most of them believing that it was probably an overdose that did her in. Most experts agree, though, as you can assume, that it was more likely the actual injuries that led to her death. So, deciding to put a pin in it for now, they decided to go to the arcade and play some video games, all while Fan laid in the bathroom. After a while, they came back home, went to sleep, and did nothing about the problem. The next day, while
What the
completely
fuck?
high, Chan came to a conclusion. He gathered up his little posse and told them, now she must be destroyed. They put her into the bathtub and got to work with a handsaw. Once the body was divided up into more manageable portions, they cooked each piece to prevent further decay and to get rid of some of the smell, boiling the pieces on the stove. Chan woke up Ah Fong, who was sleeping, and waved a bag of guts in front of her. He told her to go put them into some hot water to stop them from smelling. Leong Xing Cho was in the middle of boiling the head himself and called Ah Fong over to come and look at it. She said that she was scared and didn't want to look, but he said, it's okay, just pretend you're watching TV. She decided to give it a peek and decided that, he was right, it looked like something out of a horror movie. Given that this had already taken 10 hours, the group started getting pretty hungry. How they could even get an appetite while all of this is going on is maybe one of the biggest mysteries about this case, if you ask me. While boiling Fan's head in a pot, stirring it ever so often, they decided to throw some noodles onto the adjacent burner. They used the same spoon to stir their soup as they did to stir the head, alternating between the two.
Bro, what? How the fuck does it keep getting worse and worse. They just keep getting fucking more and more disgusting. This is Hong Kong. It didn't happen out here.
By the time their meal was over, the head was now nothing but bone. They decided to
follow
take the
Al?
skull and sew it into the head of one of their Hello Kitty plushies, a large mermaid one. This is obviously where the name of the case comes from. It's still unknown why they even decided to go through the trouble of doing this. Given how drug-fueled the whole operation was, it's safe to say that if there even was a reason, it might not make a lot of sense now.
Why
For
would you do
unknown
that?
reasons, they
I
decided
didn't
to
do
keep some
shit.
other bits as well, namely a tooth and some organs.
That shit's
However, they
scary
disposed of
video.
the rest in the apartment complex as garbage. Things were quiet for about a month. It seemed that they had gotten away with all that they had done. That all
Right.
changed 1 month later in May. Ah Fong made her way out to a local police station. She told the police that she was being haunted by a ghost, oddly enough. She told the police that this particular ghost had been tied up in electrical wire and murdered. The police, though, given that this was simply a ghost story,
Thank
didn't
you so
take her
much,
very
Layla.
seriously at all. They
This what happens if you date the hus that like Hello Kitty? No? Bro. Oh my god. Bro, they did some fucking disgusting ass weird shit and it's like somehow gets worse apparently.
brushed it off, assuming that she was just having nightmares or being silly. This was, however, until Ah Fong told them that she had played a part in the murder of this particular woman. This obviously changed things drastically. The police asked her for more details and eventually followed her out to where all the carnage took place, the apartment. This is
This
where
shit
they
low-key makes
discovered
me feel uncomfortable. Woo, can we cuddle? Yo, break wall, bro. Get the fuck away from
that
me,
her
deadass.
nightmares were very much indeed based
Now
on
they getting
reality.
haunted.
Inside,
Hold on.
she pointed them to the Hello Kitty mermaid doll, and inside, they found the skull. The whole group was found, arrested, taken in, and taken to trial. Ah Fong, which likely isn't even her real name, by the way, it's likely a pseudonym given to her by the court system,
Thank you, love.
decided to
Thank you so
testify
much.
against the other members of the group. She told the police that she was Chan Man Lok's girlfriend, but she was also very likely one of his prostitutes as well. When asked why they had done all of this, she simply said, "I have a feeling it was for fun." This
What?
case quickly became a spectacle all throughout Hong Kong. Most citizens
Why are they saying this shit like it's like some fucking, like a fucking actual game? For fun?
had never heard of a
What's wrong
case
with
coming
them?
anywhere near this magnitude before. Being a
they
pretty
kill Hello
safe
Kitty?
modern city, they
No,
couldn't
bro.
imagine something so sinister going on so close by. One element of this case that fascinated them was the terrifying juxtaposition of one of the most grisly crimes they'd ever heard of meeting with one of the cutest icons they could think of. The mixture of
Jacob
horror
just
and
subscribed.
innocence stood out to a good amount of people. The trial would go on to last for 6 months.
Preach, Kojak.
All found in order to
Preach. Hold on. Preach, Kojak. Thank you, bro. Preach for the sub. Preach for the sub.
Testify in exchange for
W
complete
sub, W sub.
immunity. In order to placate Fun's ghost and finally get some peace, she spilled all the gritty details. Every single disgusting detail of every single disturbing thing that the group did. She said that this was in order to relieve her guilt and stop the haunting. During the trial, material
Damn.
evidence
Look. She's a weird bitch, but like at least she turned everybody in. You know what I mean? Everybody in jail now. Know what I mean?
relating to the case was presented to
Nah,
the
he too
courtroom.
rich, he
This
too
included
rich.
the refrigerator
Jill
where the
just wanted
body was
emotes.
kept, the pots used in the cooking, and the actual skull itself. It has been said that the stench radiated throughout the entire courtroom. Psychiatrists evaluated the three men, who went on to describe them to the courts as being completely remorseless.
Wow.
There was one massive roadblock to the case, though. Given the way that Fun's body ended up, there wasn't any clear, for sure reason to find out what actually had happened to her. They couldn't come up with a concrete cause of death, given the evidence that they had to go off of. It could have been from the
in the
abuse,
Navy?
or it could
Yeah, I'm a
have
Navy
actually
SEAL.
been due to an overdose. As a result, the men weren't convicted of murder, but instead of manslaughter. The jury had come to believe that they had indeed caused her death, but they couldn't agree on whether or not there was intent. They couldn't rule out that the men did intend to kill her, but they also couldn't rule out that they didn't. there was simply no way to know for sure.
I guess, bro, they fucking did all this weird shit to her. They should have like at least get charged for that shit. What the fuck? Do they got like different weird ass laws in Hong Kong or some shit? Well, you ever been on a Navy vessel? Yeah, I'll be on there every day.
Despite all of the doubts and the charges being reduced to manslaughter, the court justice, Peter Nguyen, was having none of it. In December of 2000, he sentenced the three to life in prison.
I'm not a seaman,
Sadly
bro.
enough, though, this sentence did
What the
come with
fuck?
the
Why would you
possibility
even call
of
me that?
parole. It wouldn't
Nah.
be for 20 years, though. Never in Hong Kong in recent years has a court heard of such cruelty, depravity, callousness, brutality, violence, and viciousness, he said.
Deadass.
The public is entitled to protection from people such as you.
God
While
damn.
if this had taken place in mainland China, all three would have likely been executed pretty swiftly. Hong Kong did not have a death penalty.
Damn. That's crazy. In China, they would have really been packed up. And they deserved that shit, for real. W. Seaman Demon? That's not me, bro. I'm not that. Alright, I'm not in the Navy. I lied.
Fan's husband came out and spoke of the sentencing.
chill.
It seems that he was satisfied with them getting life in prison. He did, though, end by saying, "But how can I ever forget?" Ah Fong was released, free of charges, into foster care. It's currently unknown where she is now or how she turned out. The lawyers of the
Damn.
three men tried to appeal the case in 2003, but they had no luck. The sentence was upheld. Those three monsters weren't going anywhere. In 2014, the courts finally handed Fan's skull, the only remaining evidence of her body, over to her family, who had it cremated. The apartment building, located at 31 Granville Road, Tsim Sha Tsui, Hong Kong, where the murder took place, was eventually demolished entirely in September of 2012. After several years, in 2016, it was rebuilt as a hotel that still exists to this day. The actual location where the murder took place is now, by some dark irony, a restaurant.
Would y'all eat there, though? Like, knowing the weird, fucking crazy shit that happened, would y'all, like, deadass eat there? What the fuck were they thinking, making that shit a restaurant? W restaurant? You going to hell.
20 years came and went, and in 2020, it seems that the trio never did get their parole, as there's no news out there of their release.
I know if it was murder thing?
That is,
That's
except
crazy.
for one of the men. The Yongxing Cho was actually released in April of 2014. It seems that his lawyer was able to appeal and convince the courts that there wasn't sufficient evidence against him. As you might assume, it wasn't too long before he was on the police's radar again. Just recently, in January of 2022, while he was working as a waiter, he groped the chest of a female minor, only 10. And
What the fuck? Bro, like, kill him. What the fuck is going on? They fucking got a monster demon outside in a fucking, just in the world.
even more recently, he was sentenced to 12
10
months
is fucking
in prison for
shameless.
that.
12
so
months?
as of the writing of
Yeah,
this
that's
video,
fucking
he is
crazy.
back in prison. Time will tell if they end up seeing parole in the future. There ended up being a few movies released throughout the years that told the story of this case. One of them was called Human Pork Chop with, my god, have some tact, come on. Another was called There's a Secret in My Soup. This case even became well enough known overseas that it was featured in an episode of Bones, an American crime drama. To this very day, Fan Man-yi's memory is kept alive every year when citizens of Hong Kong celebrate her life on her birthday with a candlelight vigil in the center of the city.
Preach.
Once again,
Damn,
thank you for
bro.
watching my videos. If you found it interesting,
RIP,
please give it a
bro.
like. It helps me out in
RIP.
the algorithm. And if you find content like this enjoyable, feel free to subscribe. If you don't
RIP,
mind,
bro.
go ahead and follow me on
Oh,
social
yeah.
media. I mean, you know how YouTube is with content like this. If anything were ever to happen to this channel, that'd probably be the only way you'd ever hear about it. If you feel like supporting the
Thank
channel
you so much, Annalise. Thank you so much.
even further, I do have a Patreon account which I keep linked down in the description below. There you can get videos both early and uncensored. Speaking of which, shout out to my top patrons.
Fuck, man. Wow. That was some fucking soulless, disgusting ass shit.